Is there anything more heartbreaking as a beginner watercolor artist than ruining a painting you have just spent hours working on? A watercolor painting that actually looks nice for a change just ruined? And all because the brush ran away from you, or you wetted some part you didn't want to wet, or everything actually worked out how you had planned but the end result kinda sucks? Trust me, I have had all of that happen to me so many times, until I found out you can actually erase watercolors. Today I am showing you how to erase watercolors, and I will be testing it with 100% cotton paper, but also with cheaper cellulose paper to see if this is a works every time kind of thing, or if we need to be careful when using it. So here we go. So I have two pieces of paper right here. So on this side it's 100% cotton paper, Bauhong Master's Choice, so the professional version. I love it. It's really toothy, really textured, so I wanted to try the solution on textured paper also, and that's why I chose this. Okay, so on the right side of the ring, 100% professional watercolor paper. And by the way, this is a fine grain 300 GSMs, pure cotton watercolor paper, professional grade. And on the left side of the ring, I have Winsor & Newton cellulose paper. This one right here. So it's also 300 GSMs, also cold pressed, and it has like 25% cotton on it. Now, as you can see, I have gone ahead and just painted a blob on both of these because I wanted to try this on both wet and dry paper, okay? Or wet and dry paint, really. And for starters, I mean, guys, look at the difference 100% cotton paper makes. Look how vibrant this is compared to this. Paper really is, for me, my number one hack. I can't stress it enough. I have been telling you this for quite a couple of videos now, and I mean it. The difference is abysmal. It's really, really big difference. I don't know if you can see it on video, but for me, in presence, it really is completely different. Kind of looks like different paint, really. And the paint I'm using is one of my favorite sets, my Kuretake Gansai Tambi Art Nouveau set. And I am using Billiards Green, this one right here. Oh, I love this set, I really, really do. Really vibrant colors, really stainy colors, which is exactly what I want for today. And the reason why I'm trying this on wet paint and dry paint is because I figured it was important to know if there's a difference. Because if you remember the video I did about the other ways to correct watercolor mistakes, I did that a couple of weeks ago, it didn't really make a difference if it was wet or dry, the method was exactly the same. And by the way, if you haven't watched that video, I recommend you watch it after this one, and that way you will know all there is to know about correcting your watercolor mistakes. Because honestly, is there anything more important than that? I mean, sure, of course, there are a lot of stuff about watercolors you should know, like water control and techniques and whatnot, but what good is any of that if we make a mistake and it's game over for us? But anyway, let's get to it. How do we erase watercolors? With this. That's right, a magic eraser. Now, this is not available in Portugal, okay? This is actually the French Belgium version of it. This is imported, and I can tell you right now, it did not cost what it costs you if you're in the US, okay? That's how committed I am to showing you guys all you need to know to excel at watercolors. But anyway, this is the Mr. Clean Magic Eraser. It's a sponge of some sort, and it claims that it is able to clean anything with just water. And if this works on watercolor, it turns out they really do. And I have just noticed I got the ultra power version. Well then, it should be even easier to erase this paint, right? It has two, I only need one. Let's open this up. Oh yeah, two, okay. Yeah, that's better. And yeah, we don't really need the whole thing, so I'm just going to cut a piece. Yeah, something like this. So this is what we have, and my goal here, the only way I'll be truly happy with this is if we are able to completely remove this watercolor paint, okay? And I'm using a pretty stainy color, as I've mentioned, Billiard Green, because I want this to be as hard as it possibly can. Now, they say all you need to do to erase your watercolor paint from your watercolor paper is to wet the sponge, remove the excess water, and then have at it, okay? So let's do that. So I'm just going to wet this, remove the excess water, just like they say we should. And here we go. So I'm going to start with the Winsor & Newton paper first. Oh, that was pretty impressive. Oh, look at that, guys. Pretty impressive. Wow. Okay. Wow, okay, yeah, the paint is almost completely off. This is almost completely dry. I do notice, however, that the paper is getting completely ruined. Yeah, this is disintegrating the paper, and I promise you, it was not, I was not heavy-handed about it, okay? I did it really, really softly, but look at that, yeah. So what can I say here? I guess, you know, if it's going to remove the paint, but it's going to damage the paper and you can't paint after that, there's really not much point. I'm not sure it's the ultra power in it really. But so yeah. So 10 points for removing paint, 0 points for ruining the paper. Guys, this is exactly why I wanted to test both papers, okay? I needed to see if there was a difference. I'm hoping there's a difference. I'm hoping that when we try the 100% cotton paper, the Bauhong paper, that we'll be able to remove the paint and, you know, preserve the paper. So let's see. Okay, so let's see with the Bauhong paper. 1, 2, 3, 4. The paper isn't disintegrating. 5, 6, 7. Oh, cat. Cat. No, cat. Go, go. Let's see if I dab it. Shall I dab it? Let's see what happens if I dab this. Okay guys, so this is what happens with the Bauhong paper. I exchanged my sponges because for a minute there, I thought this was also disintegrated the Bauhong until I realized it was this sponge that was so filled with the paper from the Winsor & Newton that was actually spreading the paper on my Bauhong. But now that I've exchanged the sponge and used it, yeah, that works much, much better. I can only imagine that if I didn't pick such a stainy color, it would be white by now. But I will tell you this, once this dries, once this completely dries, it probably will be. Some parts of this are definitely back to the color of the paper. So if I keep at it, I'm pretty sure it will work. So there we have it with dry paint. Yay for 100% cotton paper, nay for a cellulose paper, you know, if you don't want it to disintegrate, which is kind of a big no-no. Okay guys, now let's try this with some wet paint. And I am thinking, from what I've seen, that it probably won't work. It probably will just move the paint around. So there is a chance we will need to dry it before removing it. So there's my beautiful billiards green. Oh, look at the difference, guys. I mean, the difference. So much more color, so much more vibrancy for this one. Oh God, I think I'm gonna make a mess, but let's see how this goes. Oh, look at that. How wonderful does this go when you're using wet paint? I did not expect it. I just expected it to move the paint around and for it to be a mess. Also, I can tell you right now, it doesn't ruin the paper as much if you do it while wet. So very pleasant surprise. Now let's try with the Bauhong. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, so it happened a little bit of both of what I was telling you it would. So on one hand, the paint is easier to remove. On the other, it does carry the paint around somewhat. Oh yeah, guys, yeah, this is really good. So I would say it works better if the paint is wet. This is totally unexpected for me. I thought it would go the other way around. I thought that if the paint was wet, we were just going to move it around and create a big mess, but that's not what happened, or not totally. Here we saw a little bit of that, you know, the paint just got dragged, but yeah, and the result is much better, and the paper doesn't suffer as much as it did for our first attempt. So I guess if you're using cellulose paper, try and remove it while wet. Don't wait for it to dry, or it will be much more aggressive on your paper and it will probably ruin your paper. Whereas here, it didn't. Not really, not at all actually. So yeah, and there you have it guys. Our test is done and our conclusions were drawn. Tell me, do you know of any other way to erase watercolor paint? Because if you do, please let me know in the comments below. I would love to know. I'm always looking for new ways to make life easier for us beginner watercolor artists. Also, don't forget to watch this video somewhere around here about other ways to correct watercolor mistakes. Guys, thank you for doing this with me. I hope you enjoyed it. I had a blast and I will see you really, really soon. Bye bye!